At 6, the first of thousands of prisoners in England and Wales are released early in a bid to tackle prison overcrowding. Outside Wandsworth Jail, celebrations this morning as people gather to meet one man who's had his time in prison cut short. Also tonight, the vast majority of pensioners will lose their winter fuel payments after the government wins a vote in the Commons today, despite a backbench rebellion. Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6. The first of thousands of prisoners in England and Wales have been allowed out of jail early today as part of a new government scheme to try to ease prison overcrowding. More than 1,700 have been released today in the first wave, with more than 5,000 to be let out early over the next 2 months. Those released today had been sentenced to up to 5 years in jail. They have served 40% of their time rather than the usual 50%. The government says those jailed for more than 4 years for serious violent offences or for sex offences and domestic abuse are not eligible for early release. The Justice Secretary says every available measure is being taken to protect the public. Here's our UK correspondent, Daniel Sanford.
At Wandsworth Prison today, inmates walking free early from their sentences, celebrating with their friends. Some hiding their faces as they left the jail.
Let's go. You're right. Let's go home.
Others making up for lost time with their partners, while a few were worried about their future.
I'm going to be sleeping on the bench tonight. Do you know what I mean? There's no messing about. I'm going to go to probation, and if they've got an address for me, I'm the Pope.
In Liverpool, prisoners coming out weeks earlier than expected.
You come out under the early release scheme?
Yeah.
So how much earlier did you come out than you were expecting?
2 months.
So is that a bit of a relief for you to get out a bit early?
Of course, yeah.
So how full are the prisons at the moment?
Chocker, absolutely rammed.
Are you out under early release?
Yeah.
How much earlier did you come out today than you were supposed
80
to?
odd days.
How much? 80 days early?
They came out in groups every half an hour or so.
All day there's been a steady release of inmates from prisons across England and Wales, one of the biggest mass releases of prisoners ever seen on a single day.
And even while they were still coming out, the minister in charge of prisons was explaining why to the House of Commons.
If we had not done this, we faced courts unable to hold trials, police unable to make arrests, and a total breakdown of law and order. This is not the long-term solution. There is more that we must do, but it was the necessary first step that we had to take following the disgraceful dereliction of duty by the previous government.
It was the record prison population that led today's mass release, but it's now putting huge strain on the probation system, with officers worried many will just re-offend.
That means we're likely to see a lot of people recalled to prison in short order. So again, that just fuels the problem. People are recalled to prison for 2 weeks typically, and then they're released and then perhaps recalled yet again. So it's papering over the cracks.
Ministers had promised victims that people convicted of domestic abuse wouldn't be released early. But Elizabeth Hudson has received this letter saying that her ex-partner Martin Underwood will be set free under the scheme next year.
And this is very much a temporary solution, isn't it? Not a long-term fix for prison overcrowding.
Yeah, those sorts of surreal scenes, really, that we all witnessed outside prisons across the country today are not the short-term solution. That was when they actually stopped taking people to court at all. They are a medium-term solution. They'll buy the government about 5,000 places of breathing space, which should get them about another year and a half before prisons are full again. But some of those places have already been taken up with these summer's rioters. Several hundred of those places have already been taken up, so that maybe their breathing space is starting to shrink. But it's definitely not a long-term solution. Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary herself in the Commons, said it wasn't a long-term solution. We don't know what the long-term solution is going to be. Is it going to be to quickly build more prisons or more prison places, or is it actually going to come up with another alternative than sending so many people to prison?
Daniel Sanford, thank you. Now, the cut in the winter fuel payments will go ahead after the government won a vote in the House of Commons this afternoon comfortably, despite a backbench rebellion. The payment, which is worth up to £300, was introduced by the last Labour government in 1997.